Hey, so let me just start off with this question.
Yes.
Being a real estate agent, where's the best place to, let's say if you are selling a home in an area that has, tornadoes and thunderstorms, what should you look for in a house?
Dude, a basement. For sure, a basement. Concrete block,
Yeah.
poured concrete, whatever.
Yeah,
You get that getaway spot, that bug out.
that's the right answer. Because we're in like, I don't think we're in a tornado warning, but
Yeah.
we got some pretty big storms coming from St. Louis. I'm not too worried about it. But I mean, we have a basement. We're actually I think one of the only homes on the block that have a basement.
Oh, no
Um,
kidding.
there's not a lot of houses in Indiana that have a basement, which you feel like you
That's
would, especially in the
that's
fields and stuff.
that is definitely surprising. I would have imagined, like most Midwest houses, that there would be a basement, or at least
Yeah.
Minnesota and Wisconsin. But yeah,
Yeah, it's weird because when I first moved out here, the house I like rented at the time had a basement, and I remember telling people, and they said, "Oh, we don't have basements out here." We're like, "We don't."
so bizarre.
Pretty sure there's a lot of storms and tornadoes, and tonight being an example, you know.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
have my wife has family in Ohio, and they have like land, like farmlands basically out there, so they're always on like weather watch and whatnot. And
Mm.
then her uncle has like a camper that he goes to in the summer and on the weekends, and that park just got hit with the tornado.
Ooh,
Yeah, and I watched the video, and it was like pretty gnarly. It's pretty
dude.
gnarly.
Yeah. It's yeah, scary.
Well, it's
Like,
scary. I mean, it's like it was 70 degrees yesterday, and then it's so weird this time of the year because it'll be a couple days of like 30, and
I
then
know.
a day later it's 65 or 70. And I'm like, this is nice, but it's weird.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, we literally we just went through that too. Like, I think it hit close to 70 yesterday or 2 days ago,
Okay.
and like high 60s for sure. And then today was like mid 50s, I think, and then I think we dropped back to like 34 in a couple days. So it's yeah, it just keeps throwing you for a loop. You need a jacket in the morning, shorts by midday, and then
Yeah.
you know
And that's it.
it's
That's it.
it's wild. Yeah.
So how has the real estate thing been going, man? How long have you been an agent? Actually, I don't even know that.
Yeah. 3 years next month.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, man, it's been going great. I recently moved back to Minnesota from Montana about I think like 4 months ago now already. It's gone by pretty fast. Um, but yeah, been just getting everything back up and running since I've gotten home. um, and reconnecting with everybody here and back with my business partners and my team that I was working with previously.
Mhm.
So it's been really nice to get back up and running. We are now
What's the name of your agency?
yeah. So we our sales team is the Exceeding Expectations team, and we're brokered by EXP. They are the company that holds our license, and
Okay.
then we have like a second partnership essentially with a real estate company called Place that is um, just incredible. It's basically a couple top agents in the country who have just sold thousands and thousands of homes over the years, and they've been doing it at a really high level, have big teams across the country. They came together and decided to basically just build like a it's like a broker agnostic platform would be the easiest way to put it, where it doesn't matter what company you're with,
Okay.
but it's not like brokerage or company specific. No matter where you are, you can work with them if you qualify for it, just based on sales and volume metrics, where they essentially just give you their entire playbook of, hey, here's everything we've been doing for X amount of years, and just implement these systems with your team and your agents, and they're essentially guaranteed to be successful if they're willing to just follow this game plan.
Okay.
um, so that has been really, really cool to, because we didn't have that before. And I've just been jumping into that for the past several months, like straight pedal to the metal, but it's been great. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, seeing your hustle and everything on Instagram makes me want to move back and buy a house. So you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job out there.
all right, dude, thank you. I appreciate that. No, yeah, it's been really fun getting home, getting back to it, and just going in and yeah, seeing so many houses again after, essentially there was still like some referral business going on, and still um you know I guess working behind the scenes or in a different capacity for the year I was in Montana, but I was actively out of sales for that time being. So yeah, it's really, really refreshing to be back doing it.
Do you have a sales background,
Uh,
or is it so?
aside from like slanging merch at shows and,
Yeah,
playing music and
that's
whatnot,
sales. That's
I
sales,
suppose
man.
that's like I suppose that's where it started. But no, it's like in terms of like a straight up, or I guess I worked at GNC like
It works.
maybe 14, however long ago it was. So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess now that I'm retracing through it, I'm like, okay, maybe I have had some quasi sales jobs, but
So what made you want to get into that industry, I guess, real estate industry?
yeah, for sure. So my sister, she had been in the industry for a few years. She's a broker in Minnesota, and um she had been doing that for yeah a while, and I had been working on some flips with her and my dad uh, a few years back here in the Twin Cities in like the St. Paul area.
Mhm.
So I had done work on homes and refurbishing and things like that. So I was always around it, but never on that side of it. And then a very good friend of mine, he hopped into the industry and had been doing it for maybe a year, little over a year before I ended up joining. And he had just reached out to me at the time, while I was just trying to figure out what was next for
Yeah.
myself in life, and just said, "Hey, man, I think you should take a look at this. You should check it out." And yeah, very, very glad that I did. So,
Yeah. 3 years.
yeah.
3 years
Yes.
so
Yeah.
far. Nice,
Hmm.
dude.
Yes, indeed.
That's exciting. I know two other, um, or three, maybe three. I think he's still doing it, but I know two other people in the industry. Like, well, one of them, he got us this house. And I've known him since I pretty much since I moved out to Indiana. He's licensed in Indiana, and parts of Florida, or I don't know if you could do parts of a state or just the whole state. I don't really
Oh yeah,
know
yeah.
how that
You'd just
works.
be licensed in the state
Okay.
as a whole. So yeah.
But I think he's been doing it for like 25, 30 years or something like that.
Oh
He
wow.
loves it. I mean, he's got that like hustle grind mentality.
Mm,
And then the other person is it's a good friend of mine, and actually a good friend. It's one of my close friends, his mom, Robin Weather. She does, I think she's licensed in Minnesota and um Wisconsin as well. So she's really close to me. She's
nice.
an awesome lady. But yeah, like otherwise I don't know. I mean, I was talking to my brother and his fiance this weekend. They were visiting. Um and they're looking at buying a house and stuff. And
Yeah.
they're asking us because we just bought this. We've been here for coming on like 4 months now, 5 months or so. And
Okay.
I said, yeah, I mean, first thing you want is like you want like who do you know who just bought a house recently? Who did they use? Like what was
Yeah.
their experience like? Because like getting a good agent really helps you
Oh
with
yeah.
questions that you might not even understand you're gonna have yet. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
gonna be, and I said just find somebody. And then I was like, oh wait, I could think about who to ask. I told him I'd look around, and I said, listen, all you gotta do is just start looking at houses. And then like the questions you're gonna have after the house one, you'll already be ready for the second house you look at. And then you just
Mm,
this whole process is crazy, man.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's something that like I thought about briefly. Um,
Yeah.
I mean briefly. I don't know if I would actually like commit to it, but I think it's something that you could always just flip over and do. I mean, at some point in your
Mm,
life, just get licensed, right? And
yeah.
then find a good agency to work with, right? Assuming.
No, dude, 100% in terms of like, yeah, finding a good place to land, finding a
Yeah.
good group of people to work with that you trust. And I'm I'm super, super fortunate, man, that the group that I'm working with, there's, I mean, close to, I mean, yeah, like 50 plus years of experience between everyone that I'm working with directly on a daily basis, where
Oh
it's
yeah.
just like, worked through 08, 09, that recession and the crash,
Oh man.
foreclosures, short sales, like, so just seeing like the highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows, like good, bad, the ugly, everything. So really, really lucky in that capacity that I'm getting to work alongside and learn directly from uh, people who have just seen it all. So
Yeah.
that way it's like if I'm working with a client and I maybe encounter something where for myself 3 years in where it's like I've seen a decent amount of things, but I certainly haven't seen everything in comparison,
Hmm.
that it's like, oh, awesome. I may not have that answer, but I know who does have the answer and we'll we'll get this sorted. So it's great in that respect
Yeah.
to have that resource.
That's good too to have a good strong team with that experience. So
Oh
when
yeah.
you moved back, well, why'd you move back to Minnesota?
Yeah, we went out there and um was originally planning to get because my sister who I had mentioned, she has been living out there for a couple years now. And so we were planning on both getting licensed in Montana and getting the business up and running out there. She has a couple Airbnbs along with a couple other businesses that she has, and they are all doing extremely well, which is awesome for her. But it seemed that as the year progressed of us being out there, me in the process of getting my Montana license, that her priority wasn't really to jump back into it in the same capacity I was looking to, based on the
Okay.
other things that she had going for her. So I figured, okay, I'm still just going to get licensed regardless and get the ball rolling. And then whenever you're ready to jump in, we'll just hop to it. And during that time is when uh, my teammates and partners back here had just reached out to me asking like, how's it going? What are you thinking in terms of the future? Because we have this brand new opportunity with this company, where it's just going to be like a night and day difference compared to how we were doing things prior to you moving. So I know you just got out there, but if you're up for a quick turnaround, like we're really gonna we're gonna give it a full send with this thing basically.
Yeah.
So and we're super awesome to they basically worked out like a like a temporary position for me basically of hey, there's a couple roles that we could have you fill in the meantime of you getting your own personal business back up and running, um, to just give you a place to land basically.
Yeah.
um, so it was just such an awesome offer, and I just so appreciative of it that they were willing to go to that extent of like, hey, we're creating this thing for you to just come back, man. Just please come back and do this
Yeah.
with us, which was like really awesome and really humbling. So, um, yeah, super glad that I did it. So,
Yeah. Well, especially if it's a team that has that much experience, like you said, and they
yes,
are really, I don't want to say begging, but they're like, dude, this opportunity is right for you. Trust us,
yeah,
trust our experience. And you're like, yeah, like you're gonna go, like it's gonna be easier to go with your gut on that one, you
yeah,
know.
and that
So
and that's exactly it. Like, not that they, because it by no means, and I think that's the piece too. Is it's like by no means do I feel like, oh, they needed me, but just that they wanted me to come back that much was just really like that. I still, yeah, can't really put that into words of just how cool that was that they um were like, hey man, we just miss you being a part of this and the collective, and we just love to have you back. So
yeah.
really, really glad it worked out. So
Well, it's awesome. And with you back, that transitions us to you doing music more with
yeah.
the good old Austin and Gabriel.
Oh, dude, it's such a beautiful thing, dude.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll just say it 'cause we're probably going to talk about it because you have a show on the 21st. No,
So
22nd.
second, yeah,
22nd, Friday.
week from tomorrow. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
stoked,
man.
man. When it was first announced, I checked with my wife because obviously we have a newborn now.
Yes, of
And
course.
I told Gabe and Austin, I was like, hey man, there's like a pretty strong chance I can make it.
Yeah,
Um, and I think right now it's looking a little more slim.
yeah,
I gotta text them and say, like, I know you guys are gonna have way more shows. So I wanted to be at your first one. So
yeah, yeah.
it's a little what's I was like immediately I was thinking about, okay, I can't be gone too long. And I started looking up flights and I'm like, for some reason, fly flying into Minneapolis from Indianapolis is like $600, which I don't
Oh,
understand why.
dude,
Well, I'll bill you
trust.
guys. It's totally understandable.
Perfect. Yeah. No,
But
we get
that's
we got it.
yeah.
Rack
But no, I
rack
was
it
just
up,
look
son. Get on
racking up
there.
and um no, like I was even trying to think if I drive up, but then also I uh I have March Madness downtown. I'm bartending downtown. They gave me like a bartending gig down there. So I'm like,
Oh, word.
okay,
Okay.
well, I'll probably stick and make some diaper money for that.
Absolutely.
So um but
100%.
that's so exciting, man. So how'd you guys land that gig? Where's it at again?
Yeah, so it's at the Green Room in
Okay.
Uptown, and I guess it used to be the Poorhouse. I didn't I had no idea what it was when I saw it got announced. It was supposed to be at Amsterdam downtown St. Paul, and
Yep.
love that venue, so it was
Been there.
definitely hyped on
Busted my
that.
lip there actually.
Oh, no kidding, to who? What show was
Uh
it?
Phineas. It was they did a I think yeah, they did like a Wall of Death or something like that. And I was like, they're like one of my favorite bands. I have like two of their tattoos on me. So like
Oh yeah, word.
they're definitely one of my favorite bands. And I some guy like I was like, I think I just got super hyped at some breakdown. It was years ago. And I like got catapulted up. I was probably like 50 pounds lighter at that point. And then like as I was coming down,
Yeah.
someone else was coming up and my lip hit their shoulder. And I just had like
Oof.
just a I didn't lose any teeth though. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah. No, you're good. But what was? Oh yes, Green Room. So I had never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. Um, but then looked it up and it looks awesome. Looks
Yeah.
like a really great venue, and everybody that I've talked to that has either played there or seen a show there, it's been nothing but good feedback, which is killer. Um, so yeah, no, I'm just excited for that. And in terms of how we landed it, Austin goes way back uh, with the villain of the story guys. And he also works with a few of the guys in Divide the Fall, the direct support band.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it from what it sounds like, it just came about. They caught wind of Absent Handed when we put out the first stuff, and they enjoyed it. So they just reached out to him and were like, "Hey, we got this show coming up, and you guys want to hop on?" So worked out pretty seamlessly. So
That's exciting, man. I'm really
yeah,
excited for because it's Gabe's first ever show.
I know.
So I'm really excited for it. I hope he's not like too
Same,
nervous or
dude.
anything. He's probably like really stoked, but
Oh
um
yeah.
there's you know, there's always like first show jitters somewhat.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's exciting, man. So you guys are probably playing your three. Um are you dropping anything else that you're thinking of playing live? Are you doing like a cover or anything like that?
Oh, in terms of the set.
Oh, the set list, yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. So we're doing six.
Cool.
We have another three written and recorded.
Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna be playing that first EP. All three of those songs we'll be ripping, and yeah, these three new ones. So it's yeah, it'll be fun. We've been ripping practice hard, hitting it on the weekly basis for the past, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 weeks now.
Okay.
Been getting it dialed in,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is yeah, been great. And Jason Hurt, who in uh, played in Still Breather as well with Austin. He also has filled in for Ghost Bath, I believe,
Mm,
and couple other bands, but he's a phenomenal drummer, and
Okay,
he's going to be playing with us next week.
that's gonna be sick.
So yeah, very very excited. He's a very very good drummer. So
I've always told Austin, I've told him a few things, but if you guys need a merch guy, I will
dude,
be I will be your merch guy.
let's go.
So do you guys have I mean, so I know it's early on because it's only your first show.
Yeah,
Um Nothing else lined up at this time, or is there just talks of potential more shows this summer?
yeah. There's one or two on the radar.
Okay.
Nothing concrete, but yeah, there are two other opportunities that we had been talking about. So we'll have to see if those pan out. But yeah, we're looking to keep it at least for the remainder of this year. You know, I think ideally, like if we had one more show in town and then potentially an out of town gig as well,
Okay.
um, just to be able to, you know, hit a different spot that you know any of our previous bands had done well in the past. Just to be able to get a little bit outside the city and just get some exposure elsewhere. I mean that's really all that we have on the radar for this year, just with everything everybody has going on. Um, but yeah, man, it's
Yeah.
as you had mentioned, it being uh, like Gabe's first show. It's like, dude, it feels like mine again. Like it
Yeah.
was the strangest thing, dude. I was driving the other day, and it's like I've obviously known this is coming up for months now, and I just had this moment of where like I felt the pit drop in my stomach and like got the butterflies again for like the first time in I don't even know how long. Where I was just like, oh wow, like this is happening again, and so that was nice. Like that was cool because I hadn't felt that feeling in a long time. It's been like 5 years now, so um, yeah, it feels brand new again, which is fun.
Hell yeah. I actually just got a memory, I think a couple weeks ago. It was about 9 year a memory of like 9 years ago, maybe eight, of mine and Austin's first show at it was in Pine City at
Dude, come on now.
this bar called Beach Rocks, I think.
Okay.
Beach something. And it was funny because it's like one of those things, like you'll open up Facebook or Instagram stories will pop up. Actually, more so
Mhm.
Facebook is where it's really awkward. We get a memory or like, oh, this happened like 11 years ago, and it's a Facebook status. You're like, man, I thought it was so cool when I posted this. And and then the pictures
Yeah.
of us at our first gig were, it was pretty typical. I mean, like skinny jeans,
Oh yeah.
Toms, long hair.
Swoop.
Yep. And
Yep.
I always wore, I don't know if I just like made this a thing, but I always wore a basketball jersey
Oh yeah.
for as a frontman. So I had
Oh
like
yeah.
a Gary Payton Lakers jersey. I would wear a Pistol Pete Atlanta Hawks neon green jersey. I don't know why, just is just what I did, but like it's like that with skinny jeans and Toms. And I was like,
Oh
hell
yeah.
yeah, hell yeah.
Dude, absolutely. No, nobody could tell you nothing.
Nobody
No,
could tell me
like,
nothing, man. I had the mic. Okay. I had it.
exit.
My
Yeah,
mic.
exactly.
But I remember the feeling after that first show is similar to like after your first tattoo, where it's just like, oh dude, I
Yeah.
want more. Like you just get
Oh
this
yeah.
rush and just
Yeah,
I'm chasing the dragon dog. I'm chasing it.
it
That's
is.
it's so exciting, man. I'm stoked for you guys, and I'll be at, like I said, probably not the show, but I'll be at future ones for sure. So
No, of course.
I'm really stoked and happy for you guys, man.
Thank you. Thank you, man. It's fun. It's really it's just nice that the three of us we're on the same page in the sense of we're kind of willing to just do whatever
Mm,
musically. And these next three, I think we talked about it a little bit the last time I was on. Like songs were still very early on, like different demos and ideas, but a couple of them are definitely curveballs in a sense. Like they're not as I guess you wouldn't probably put them or I'd say for sure wouldn't put them in the same category as like the first EP.
Right.
And then one of the songs is definitely just kind of a thing of its own, um, which is exciting though. It's fun. It's fun to just to mix it up, and but it still feels natural to us. You know, it's not like, oh, we're trying to do something different just for the sake of doing it different. It's like, oh, we also happen to want to play this,
Yeah.
and it just feels right. So
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that now. You mentioned like each one has is it's different in its own way, but it doesn't seem like it's unnatural, or it doesn't seem like we're forcing this to try to like
right,
do something new, or like, hey, let's include this element. Like
right,
the sound brings out that it's like, hey, this still goes with it. Like you can still tell what band it is, type of thing.
definitely.
That's good and that's smart too. That shows experience because there's some. Well, I mean, Sleep Token's a good example. Like they're just
Oh yeah,
very unique with all of their styles and elements that they include. That
mm-hmm.
doesn't seem like they're forcing it, but
100%.
I can't think of a band right now off the top of my head. But it'll be, oh, they're trying this. It back in the day, it would always be like an EP, and it would be
Yeah.
totally different than what you're used to. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like this is okay. And sometimes I believe bands throw those little 3-song, 5-song EPs out there to just see the reaction to prep for their next album. If
Yeah,
it hits, then they'll take some elements from the EP, some from their first one, and just see what works.
yeah.
Um, that's sick, man. I'm stoked for you guys.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm excited as well. And as you're mentioning that about a band that comes to mind, dude, for me recently, the Plot and You, and
Okay,
I
first,
never listened to them like over the years. Not know they just weren't on my radar for whatever reason. And then it probably wasn't until like maybe I think like 2018 or something like that. The record with like Disposable Fix
yeah,
on it.
Disposable Fix and Feel Nothing, I think.
Yes.
And actually, that album ripped. Hang on.
And then the Swan Song, was that the next record in like 21?
No, that was Hollywood Undead you're thinking of. I'm
I'm
just
sorry,
kidding.
what?
I'm
I was like,
kidding.
excuse me, what?
Hollywood Undead had an album called Swan Songs. Like that was one of their first
Ah,
ones. And I can't believe
for
I even
sure. I
referenced
walked right
that.
into that one.
Um no, yeah, so Swan Song was 2019 to 2022. And that was with
Yeah.
wait, how long was Landon? Landon's still with them, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he is still with them. He's pretty much from the beginning, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think so. Yeah, Swan Song, and then I didn't. I remember like they'd pop up on my Spotify. Or actually,
Hmm.
back then they'd pop up on my Pandora every once in a while, and then I would start listening to them on Spotify and then randomly on YouTube like videos recommended for you, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
I should dive into them a little bit more. I was gonna ask you like, what was the band that? Do you remember the first song? This is probably a loaded question. The first song where you were like, okay, I'm gonna try to scream to this, or I'm gonna try to sing along with this.
I do actually. I remember a couple of those those like first breakthrough moments.
Yeah.
Um, Crystal Lake by Poison the Well,
Okay.
big time. Huge Poison the Well fan. Um, and it was really cool seeing them recently do uh, all these anniversary shows for the You Come Before You record. It was like the 20-year anniversary of that record.
Do you feel
Um,
old when some of those bands are doing that stuff now?
it's wild, man. It
Yeah.
does. It definitely it puts it into perspective. Like yes and no, but yeah, that that track for sure. That was one of those where I felt I hit like a new depth in my voice. Probably
Okay.
like 14, something like that, and I'm screaming along to stuff, and I got my headphones cranked, and then I could like kind of feel the drop a little bit, where I was like, oh dang, I was like, we're breaking into new territory right now. So um, that was definitely one of them, and then dude, the whole Iowa record by Slipknot,
Oh,
I mean self-titled too, like just them in general. I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to do this. Um, but yeah,
Trying to think, when did that album come out? I forgot what song it was. It was actually Kill Switch Engage, like back in 2008.
Whew. 6?
Well, the album that was, God dang, what song was it now? That one is where I was like, I'm just gonna yell to like this part because it was like a backing vocal part where it was like a
Yeah.
basically just repeating what the singer would say.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how I started practicing, was like the repeating line where it's like, oh, I can at least do this, and then you start to learn
Yeah.
that you don't have the energy and stamina to actually do everything else. And then it was
Yeah.
gosh, I can't believe I listened to this band, but it's okay. I Set to Kill back in like 2008. Super screamo emo.
Okay.
I mean, similar to a Skylar Drive back then.
Okay. Yeah,
And
for sure.
which She Watched the Sky was an incredible album. I'll die on that hill. But like
Yeah.
that was that sound back then where it was just like really
Oh yeah.
fried and high. And I'm like, I don't think I can do that.
Right.
Um, and then like as time went on, I started to kind of like see what works, and I would wrestle with myself of like trying to sound like that person instead of just going with what my voice is. I still do that a little bit here and there, you know what I
For
mean?
sure.
Um, but it wasn't until probably like Confide, um,
Mhm.
where I was like, okay, Ross Canyon's got a similar style, or I have a similar style to him. I almost like he's got a similar
Mhm.
style to me. No, no, definitely the other way around. Um, and then from there, it was just a lot of practice and practice,
Yes.
practice.
Dude,
So
God bless Melissa Cross, dude. The
yeah, I
Zen of
have.
Screaming DVDs.
So I was just, what did I just say? Oh, I was like singing along to my baby. I was like, should I ask Lewis for singing lessons? He'll probably tell me Melissa Cross. I already have that. It's okay.
Dude, it's
I
great. She's phenomenal.
She's phenomenal, man. She's still around. I know she goes
Mhm.
out on tours with, I'm assuming she goes on the tours with some of these bands because I see her with Garrett Russell a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
And
she's
Nick Pocock too started taking some lessons with her and whatnot too. And
yeah,
it's awesome to see like her still being around like after all this time, and all the bands that she's worked with. And
yeah.
yeah.
Gosh, I should pick that DVD back up because I end up getting like too excited on my commute into my bartending gig, and I'll just like pick up like if so and so drops a new song, I'll just get too excited instead of like warming up, and I'll just like scream on the way in. I'm like, great,
Oh yeah.
now I have to bartend, and
Yeah.
like before my shift, I'm just like doing some exercises just to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to listen to that again, man. Gotta get back on that practice train. You never know when my call is gonna be right there.
Dude, truly.
I'll be
But
ready.
as dude, same boat though. Like I've mainly just been pulling from memory what I do remember
Mhm.
of all the warm ups and the trainings and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I really need to. I gotta find these things again and get back to all of them. But it is great though, the ones that I do remember, and then I'll do them before like same deal, driving to practice or whatever, and start getting things dialed in. And I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I can feel a huge difference from this. But every once in a while, there's still a day where I mean, this last week, like voice felt real tight, like things were just tightening up. Um, Volume in the room was just off a little bit between like how loud the band was, how loud I was. Just trying to find that sweet spot where I can project, and I'm not getting too much of one or the other, because sometimes that can just throw me off in a crazy way. Like if I can't hear myself at all, or if I can hear myself too much. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I get that, especially from like if you focus, not focus, but like if projection and volume is like
excuse
a big thing for you,
yeah,
because it was kind of like that for me. And like we all know there's some venues where the sound guy is a dick. And it's like, hey, can you just this monitor, man? And then the drum hit their monitor up a little bit, I'll be
hmm
okay.
right,
But like, yeah, I remember certain venues and I'm like, man, that sounds really good right now. And then other ones I'm like,
yes,
I feel the same, but like
yes,
something's off. But it is, you're right,
yep,
that fine line. Um, and I clearly don't have as much experience as you and some of those other people listening, but like there is that line of like, I want to be able to hear everything, all the elements, because that
yeah.
motivates you too to get through the set.
Oh, dude, definitely. Like I feel like there's something too about the just like the live resonance with cymbals and having the guitar and the bass just cranked and I don't know. It's strange. It is really hard to explain, but there's just this level where everything sits and yeah, if you can get yourself dialed in right in terms of your monitors and how much you're hearing of yourself and like yeah, there are those sets where it's just like wow, I feel absolutely invincible. Like this is I've never sounded better than this in my entire life, you know. And then yeah, those nights too where it's just like what like I feel great,
Yeah.
everything's fine, but for some reason I'm it's just not yeah, I don't know, it's a weird thing.
On those shows where you feel like, oh man, everything's clicking right now, do you think about what you did before the show and try to mimic that for your next show?
Mm, no, that's a good question. And I feel like the warm-ups would all be pretty much the same and I would have a pretty similar like pre-show ritual. Like if I knew once I knew that we were getting to like well like probably 40 minutes or something like that, you know, a little less than an hour, then I would definitely, you know, kind of veer off somewhere else and listen to uh, you know, not heavy music, you know, like I would end
Right.
up listening to something else, other stuff, and just kind of get myself in the zone, I guess, depending on whatever I would be into at the time. Sometimes it would be This Will Destroy You.
Okay.
If you're they're like a instrumental, um, just like really ambient band,
Wait,
I
I've heard of
guess.
them. I think honestly, dating myself again, I had Explosions in the Sky Pandora Station, and I
Mm,
think that's probably
yep.
where I discovered that
Yeah,
they
they're in
sound
that
super familiar.
same pocket for sure. So I'd either yeah, I'd either listen to, you know, instrumental and ambient stuff like that to kind of phase out, or um, depending on like whatever might have been hitting for me at the time, like back in the day, maybe like ASAP Rocky or Kevin Gates or something to that effect, and that would help me get into the zone for sure, and just do the vocal warm ups and yeah, go out and rip. So
That's interesting. Because thinking about that now, I feel like if I would listen to heavy music before a set, I'd probably get too excited and try to like do it, and then instead that would just like
yeah,
exhaust my throat. Well, I did.
yeah,
So that happened. It was way back, and I was driving to Chicago from Indianapolis because a week before I saw Silent Planet, and
yeah,
they were with Phineas, and I tried to like go up, or I always ask Sean when I'm there from Phineas, like, hey, if you do I'm the Lion, can I do the breakdown at the end? He's like, sure. Well, when I did that, Garrett was there. This was way back in the day. He's like,
mm,
hey, we have a show in Chicago. Like, do you want to come up and do a guest vocal for a song? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. Because they ended up staying at my house that night. And I
oh,
was
that's
like, dude,
killer.
you guys are awesome, whatever. And they're like, yeah, we're gonna be in Chicago if you want to go up. So I went up and I'm doing my vocal warm-ups on the drive up, and I started like practicing the song on the drive up, and I was like, okay, I gotta slow down here because
Yeah,
I don't want to like obviously sound strained, even though
yeah,
the guest vocal spot was probably like 25 seconds, maybe 30 seconds or something like that.
sure, yeah,
But honestly, I think listening to something not like that is the key, especially if it's instrumental, just kind of clears your head from any distractions.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Um, okay, one more question, and I got to transition over to something else. Let's
Yeah, of
say if
course.
somebody is interested in, like, if they're interested in being in a band, or if they're interested in, like, you know, well, I guess, yeah, if they're interested in being in a band, what would the first step be for that person? Like, if they're already practiced, if they like, hey, I'm already like a killer drummer, or like, hey,
Yeah,
I can sing or play guitar.
for sure. Dude, I would and it's so interesting because I feel like these things now that are available to us really were like I feel like it does to your point of earlier, like, do you feel old when you see these bands do throwback reunions and stuff? And I'm like, I definitely feel old right now saying this, but it's just like, man, the YouTube and covers and like maybe it was going on a little bit, but it just wasn't on my radar. But I feel like that was definitely before my time. Like my getting into my first band was like a word of mouth referral from uh, a friend that I went to high school with, and
Yep.
he grew up with all of his buddies that were, and like we lived maybe 10 minutes from each other, but we just were in different circles, you know, so we never really crossed paths. Like we had a bunch of mutual friends, but we didn't know each other. And he was like, dude, my buddies, you know, they've got they got everything they need a vocalist. Like they don't know anybody who can scream. And I was like, dude, sit and just like, well, are they good? Like, do they rip? Like, what's the deal? And he was just like, oh yeah. He was like, they kick ass. Like, you gotta like go talk to them, you know, go see what's up. And was just like, all right, sweet. Cause I had been like, dude, I was just practicing in my basement all the time. You know what I mean? Like I'm just
Yeah.
screaming along with stuff in my headphones and I'm like, I I want to do this. I'm trying to get into a band. I'm gonna make it happen one way or the other, whatever. But yeah, like the social media component of just like, hey, I could just put myself out there for people to discover me.
Yeah.
Um, isn't that how dude Will Ramos with Lorna Shore? Like
Is that what
I could
is that how he was discovered?
or what's that, sorry?
Is that how he was discovered?
I think, dude, that's what I'm saying. I think so. Like I could be wrong. He may have had like a different project, but from what I remember gathering is that he was just putting himself out there in that capacity. He was a YouTube uh cover vocalist essentially, and he was just killing it on there for a while, and that's how they caught wind of him and ended up in the band.
Well, dude, that's how Bieber was discovered. Justin Bieber.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because when you mentioned that, I
Crazy.
was like, let me fact check this real quick. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay. But that see that does make sense because I remember I used to always see YouTube videos of covers. I was like,
yeah.
hey, here's a cover this, cover that, cover.
Hmm.
And then you still see it on like Instagram reels and stuff like that.
Dude,
Okay.
100%. I
All
like,
right.
yeah, man. You, dude, YouTube, Instagram clips, shorts, like, bro. If you're a good vocalist, if you're a good drummer, guitar, bass, keys, like whatever, dude. If you got a bunch of little clips with everybody's lab rat brains that we have now from scrolling and dopamine hits,
Yeah.
like, man, if you got those little clips, dude, of you just ripping at whatever you do and you're consistent with putting that stuff out and getting it in front of people, like, man, I guess like that's what I would do if I was in that position right now where it's like I have this talent in this area. How do I get in front of other people that are trying to do the same thing? Like I would definitely go that route.
Copy that. Copy that. Okay, I'll start working on that right now,
Yeah, sick.
actually. No, but that's true about what you said early on because I met Austin through a word of mouth. And I know he was in bands and stuff in Bram. And I think it was he was starting something new and he's like, yeah, we're just looking for a vocalist. And I said, I mean, I've screamed in my car, like or in my shower, of course, but sure. And then it
Yeah,
just one thing led to another. So back then it was definitely word of mouth. Looking back at it. Um,
yeah.
all right, man. So I'm just gonna ask you, what did you think of the fights this past weekend?
Dude,
Nice.
bizarre. Nice. I just took a second there and I was like, yeah, what even happened, man?
So,
I mean, it was crazy. It was just bonkers.
okay, let's see here. So I started it at actually I started the prelims when Kyler and Pedro fought.
Oh,
And then I
nice.
missed some of that just because so my like I said, my brother and his fiance were in town. They got in Saturday, which consisted of I was like, hey, you guys are coming in Saturday. Just a heads up, there's a UFC fight. So I'm making Cajun wings. So every time Dustin fights, I'll make, and I don't know if
Yeah.
this is like an association thing or what. Um, but like I'll make some type of Cajun dish. So I've made like Cajun Alfredo pasta. I've done jambalaya. I've done these Cajun wings on the smoker. Like every time he fights,
Dude, I love that. I love
and
that.
well, I don't. I do. I just get excited, especially because he's like one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. We did pizzas, and we were just like eating and having drinks and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they went to sleep, I think, right before MVP and Kevin Holland fought. I was like, all right,
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna muster. I could stay up. Like I just ate pizza,
Yeah.
wings. Like I'm feeling pretty
Yeah.
tired, but
You're fading. Yeah.
I'll push through. And I probably like a week before the fight. Actually, when the fight was announced, Dustin was the underdog by like plus 190 or 200.
I know.
And I'm like, I'm gonna bet the house on this one. And a week before, I bet like $20, which I normally don't bet that much. I probably bet like I'll do like a $3 parlay or like $2, $5 here and there.
Sure.
I bet $20 on 156, which is nice because that helps pay for how much the pay-per-views are nowadays.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
it was a hell of a fight, man. Like I was expecting to kind of go that way where BSD is just gonna just bulldog him and just
Yeah.
try to just exhaust,
Yeah.
and he's gonna exhaust himself.
Yes. No, 100%. I like getting ready for it and we were, obviously texting a bit about it. And yeah, man, the recency bias in MMA. I mean, like a lot of sports, I think in general, but just dude, MMA in particular in combat, like it is so crazy how someone loses and they're one of the best in the world and they're only fighting other people who are in the consideration of being the best in the world.
Yeah.
They lose one fight to another person who's also one of the best in the world, and then it's just like, that's it.
Well,
Wrap it up. They're
well,
done. It's
and they
just like,
tried
hey,
to
man.
like they try to include because of his age, right? And like, okay, he's
Yeah,
35, but
sure.
it's like he got head kicked, kind of a clipped shot. Like he wasn't getting like beat in that fight against Justin Gaethje. That was also
No,
back in July.
yeah,
So he's had plenty of time to recover and work out and focus. And
100%.
and if you go against, like Dustin's strength is he scraps, he's a dog, he likes it like dirty. He's got incredible cardio and boxing
Oh, yeah.
and experience.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like all of this against a young hungry lion who's up and coming,
Yep.
odds stacked against Dustin, and it's like, dude, this matches up well because if he wins, it's a huge reward for him.
Oh, yeah.
It was a huge risk because I think BSD was ranked like 12th.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. No,
could have
man,
been bad.
it was huge of him to do that. And, you know, I think like him, I remember, like Beneil, like people wanting him to fight. Like it seemed like that was going to be a matchup at one point. Beneil tried to call him out, and he just was like, "Listen, man, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. Like, I'm not, I'm not hating on you. I just like, I'm not excited. Like that,
Mhm.
that fight doesn't get me going. Like, I just don't, I don't know what you want me to say. And everybody, I think like he got torched for that a bit, where they're kind of like, you can't dodge and pick your fights, man. And so for him to yeah, give like he's saying, he's like, dude, Eddie Alvarez gave me the shot when I was
Right.
the up and comer back in the day, and like I knew there would come a point where I was going to need to return that favor because that's what this is, and yeah, like to your point, the experience. That's what I figured it would come down to is that it's just like he's just been in too many of those wars and too many of those situations to let someone I mean not that it doesn't happen, obviously people get caught all the time like and
Yeah.
Benoit is a freaky guy, so like it definitely could have, not saying that was out of the realm of possibility at all, but
Yeah.
um I just had the feeling that yeah, Dustin would weather the storm and just be able to find his opening, and holy cow, did he ever.
Yeah. It was one of those things where like he knew or his coach, because he's got a great coaching staff. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
he's gonna come out hot in that first, for sure, the first couple minutes of the first round,
Oh yeah.
most of the first round, and then
Try to
after
bully you.
try
Yeah.
to bully you, and then it's like, all right, let's see what he's like in round two now. But Dustin gets
Yeah.
better as time goes on through the fight. So it's like the longer that was going to
Yeah.
go, the more favorite it was going to be. But
Hmm.
he looked good because he was getting definitely out grappled. He gave up his not gave up his back, but
Hmm.
Benoit took his back a few times. But due to
Yeah.
the experience, like he wasn't in really a I don't think he was in a dangerous situation.
And he didn't seem to be. He seemed really, really calm. I remember thinking that where like it seemed like he was kind of like chuckling at one point, which I loved. Like it I
Yeah,
there was a moment where um you know they were fighting for position there, and you could see him just kind of like I think he was looking back at Mike Brown, and like you could tell he was like laughing a little bit, or just like he seemed to be having fun in
that's
those
good.
moments, which yeah was a relief to me because obviously it's like you're seeing this dude getting on top of him, and I was just like this is I don't love where this is going, but like he did.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seemed super calm about it. Like he definitely did not seem pressed at all. So um yeah, man, it was. I will say, man, when he knocked him out, I was yelling so loud. I haven't yelled that loud because of a fight in years. I don't know. Like I was popping off, dude. It was amazing to see that because same deal, dude. He's one of my favorite fighters. Been one of them for a minute now, and like just
Yeah.
seeing that dude win is just like it's the best, dude.
And he's such a
Like
good guy, you know.
right,
You gotta include that too. But
yeah.
it was the it was after like his 15th guillotine attempt.
Dude,
Dude,
that was I love that he just didn't care and he was gonna keep doing it. Even
well,
his corner just
he
being like,
has a good guillotine, but it's like he's
ah,
never tapped anybody out.
yeah, right. Like, Dustin, can we objectively look at this? Have you ever put somebody away with this? And he's just like, yeah, I don't care.
Okay, I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
doing it. Don't be
yeah,
silly, or like be silly, jump the gilly or something like that. I forgot what his saying was.
dude. It.
There's a t-shirt about it that I'm actually gonna get.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, don't be
That is
silly,
great.
jump the gilly. That's what it's called.
Like, like John Morgan asking him at the post fight, and just like, yeah, was there ever any consideration of, I don't know, maybe not going for the guillotine again? And he was like,
Nah,
nope, not once.
nope.
Didn't even think about it.
Didn't
Was
think
just
about
gonna
it.
keep doing it. Yeah.
Like they told him in between rounds, and then like it was about to happen again, and he kept saying what Mike Brown was like, "Don't do it." Okay.
He's just like, oh, can't help myself, doing it again.
Well, he almost had. I mean, he almost had Khabib in one. That
Dude,
one was real tight. He,
dude,
I
he
don't
almost put him away too. He
almost
clipped
put him
him,
away. Don't
flipped
clipped
him,
him.
had him on that back foot, dude, and when he was chasing him down, I remember time just standing still for those couple seconds, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
because he ate a leg kick, I think, and then it was then he clipped him, and then it was just like he's just coming towards him, and Khabib's stand up is not that great,
yeah,
but then
doing
he
that,
almost yeah the
yeah,
whatever it is, I don't know.
fading
Um,
backwards, yeah,
but no, man, I thought I thought the way it was going, I thought he was going to catch him in a guillotine because he what
yeah,
jumped like I think he jumped over 10, and they all looked pretty snug. I think I don't know, but it's an experience
yeah,
thing too. And Benoit is like a really
right,
good grappler, so I
mm,
guess it was hard to say. But
yeah,
the amount of grappling that kept happening, like, and the pressure, you could sense, or I think anyone who's not a casual could sense that like BSD was going to get tired,
yeah,
and then
for sure,
you don't want to do a stand up, you don't want to engage with Dustin because he's going to get
no,
clipped, and he did. And it was a
exactly,
beautiful hook, dude. It was so good.
so heavy, man, and yeah, no, to that point, I just again the experience where it's like both in like a fight IQ sense and just being in that moment. Like, dude, you're co-main of one of the biggest cards, in a really
Yeah.
long time.
Mm,
And like this is your first real like moment. And this is the dude that you are fighting for it, like I just that dude, that's a tall order for anybody.
Well,
So
damn, I didn't even think of it that way. Yeah, because I don't think Benoit even had a pay. I don't know for sure. I don't want to speak too soon, but if he
sure,
had a
yeah,
pay-per-view fight before, his last
it
fight was
had to
in,
have
dude,
been.
his last fight was in Apex. So you go for like to your point, you go from that to co-main against one of the most elite lightweights in the world, who
Yeah,
has, if you look at experience, I remember talking to someone at the gym I go to. He's like, "Yeah, but I think Benoit's going to take it, man. He's just so good." I'm like, "Okay, do a comparison of their last couple fights.
exactly.
Say what you want about the results or whatever, but like
Yeah,
Dustin's
the
last couple
caliber.
fights were Connor, Gaethje, Oliveira, like, and
Exactly.
then I can name one of Benoit's last fights.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
No, and that's
you know,
and that's exactly it, is that it's just like you're not fighting the same, you're not fighting the same types of guys that are battle tested at that high of a level. Um, and yeah, just especially under the lights like that, dude. Like just the adrenaline dump has to be so crazy, even for those who are seasoned in it.
mhm.
So I can only imagine for him being like, I want to put him away immediately. Like I just want to get this over with.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
good point.
so
A good point.
yeah.
And it was cool. I mean, it was also cool to of course it was cool to see him win, but it was just kind of I always like listening to him post fight
Yeah.
because he's just so humble. He's like, "You're the man. I am a man. Nothing special about me, man. I'm
Yeah.
Dustin."
Yep.
So that was great. And then honestly, I actually dozed off during O'Malley and Vera, and then I woke back up mid fight and watched some of it. And that
Yeah,
ended up being a hell of a fight
dude.
for, I mean, more so for Sean. But
Yeah, man. I mean, he really put it on him, dude. Like he really put it on him. That was wild. And Cheeto was definitely he was having success in those moments when he opened up, like when he went for it.
yeah,
And like Perillo between rounds just being like, Cheeto, stop
yeah,
waiting for him to go. You can't allow him to do what he's doing. Like as soon as he goes, you go. And then the couple moments he did that, he was having some success. Like he caught him a couple times with a few good shots and like had him on the back foot for, you know, a moment or two in the fight, but it was never, it never turned into anything. It wasn't sustained. It was just like those little moments.
how the hell did he eat that knee in the second round? Because he wasn't. I don't think he was dropped that whole fight.
No, it sounded so gross too. It was so loud. Just that thud. It was like, like yeah, dude. I don't know how he didn't go down. I don't know how he didn't like break a cheek or an orbital. Like just it was, or his nose for that. I mean, it's crazy. It was really wild. Like how solid of a shot that was, and he just was, yeah, still in it.
What's crazy is he's only 31. He's got some hell
That
of a
is,
fight.
dude. Yeah, he's been.
He's been around for a
I
while.
know. Yeah,
It's so hard to think because every single fight he has different hair. So he just looks like a
I
different fighter.
I
So I'm
know.
like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he
he fought him too.
he does. Yeah, he's always had something wild going on.
God dang. So he fought Song Yadong, Sean, Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar, Rob Font, Dominic Cruz, Corey Sandhagen, who will be the next champ, Pedro Munez, and then Sugar Sean again.
Shoot.
What a hell of a run.
I mean, that's talk about caliber. Talk about like you know fighting those guys. Like
He's
he's fought
31.
everybody.
God dang. Cheeto
And
show.
so you think so Sandhagen next?
I think so. First off, he deserved this more than Cheeto, but like I can see the bad blood. I can see the marketing. Like
Yeah,
there's that stupid line of like who deserves it versus like what's gonna sell. Most of the
right.
time I go for who deserves it unless it's like someone named Bilal Muhammad. But but like I just
Just
think
just thrashing him.
I don't
Oh,
he just doesn't do
that,
it for me. I don't get
yeah,
excited
that's so
watching him fight.
funny. Yeah,
Um but no, I think Corey deserved this fight because first off, Corey like 50-45 or 44 Cheeto when he fought. So like,
Yeah. Bizarre.
Also
Yeah.
Corey's kind of like funky and weird with his style,
Hmm.
and he's
Yeah. No,
striking's good.
no, yeah, he is, man. He's very, very good. And yeah, no, it'll be interesting. Like that's definitely gonna be a very good fight. And because he's gotta be the second tallest bantamweight next to Sean. Like, I mean, they're a bit more comparable height wise, aren't they? Or am I maybe just thinking he's taller than he is?
Well, they're both super lanky. Oh, that's so
Right.
weird. Corey's
That's
my
probably
height. Corey's 5'11".
okay.
He
Yeah.
looks taller than that, but also most of those bantamweights are like TJ Dillashaw, who's like 5'4" or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. But then now walks around at like 173 or something, and dude is just
He's looking juicy.
gilled out. Yeah.
He's
Real
looking
juicy.
juicy.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about that is because so no more USADA, but they're still testing. So without
Yeah.
USADA, do you think you see some of those fighters come back? Do you think TJ comes back? Because he could have taken like the Conor McGregor approach of like, hey, my shoulder's really messed up. I'm gonna
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
something under the table
Some
to recover.
stuff,
Yeah.
so I can do what I need to do. Dude, I mean, that'd be wild. That'd be like, you gotta wonder where the performance level would be in similar fashion to like Henry Cejudo, where it's
Mm.
like yeah, we get it. Like yes, you're a champion, like always will be. Nobody's ever taken that away from you, and you were one of the top dudes. Like, but is it still going to translate from the years out of the cage? Um, I wonder what the training looks like. Like if that's still like a consistent thing for him in that capacity. It
And
seemed like he was
activity always plays a factor too.
for sure, and
So
from what it sounded like, that his shoulder was real bad. Like really, really bad to the point where he's like, yeah, it's just to the point where, because wasn't that the deal that when who was it? The fight he had that he came back, he beat Sandhagen by decision, right? And that was a war.
that was a war. But before that, he fought. Let me pull up TJ real quick because he was out for like a year and some change. Or no, he was out for over 2 years, and then he fought Corey, and then he was out for about a little over a year and fought Aljamain Sterling.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the
Pretty,
Aljo fight then.
that's when his shoulder was. I think they were popping it in and out and stuff in between
Yeah,
rounds, which I've never had my shoulder popped out, so I'm
yeah,
imagining it doesn't help doing that. Like,
yeah. Like, oh, I think he was saying that like he couldn't keep it. They had to keep putting it back in because it kept coming out, like in during the fight, and so like to his point, I mean, it's like fair, dude. Where all respect, people are like, nah, dude, I'm fighting forever. I'm riding this thing till the wheels fall off, But at a certain point of like, yeah, you know how an arm works? Mine doesn't.
yeah,
Where it's like, okay, maybe fighting with your limbs isn't the move anymore.
and he's 38.
Mm,
But it's one of those things, kind of like Henry's point. It's like if I'm going to come back
hmm.
at this age, like I'm only fighting for
Yeah.
contender spot for a title. Otherwise, like
Otherwise, there's no point. Yeah, I've already
otherwise,
done it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna guess he's just gonna chill, stay healthy, take all the supplements you want.
Hmm. Dude, maybe a BKFC appearance.
I was actually just thinking of that.
That
Um,
dude Mendez, talk about juicy. Holy buckets, bro. You see that guy's traps? There's no neck.
there's no neck. He's trapped out. He's got a walking six pack. So he's just
Yeah.
staring there looking at you. He's crazy.
And
Uh, uh
yeah.
so Chris Liddell, who's the like announcer for BKFC, ringside
Yeah.
commentator.
Yeah.
He's from the gym that I go to. I see him there like every once in a while. I
Oh, no
gave
kidding.
him that one of the last times I gave him a fist bump, it literally felt like I just gave a fist bump to a cement block. His hands are so like, well,
Dude,
Chris Liddell, so he was on Ultimate Fighter season 4. He's got a lot of experience, and they were just so hard. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. But yeah, he trains there quite a bit. He like spars with some people who are currently in BKFC too. So
nice.
that's a
Yeah,
wild sport, man.
there is something about the just like the bone density of people who have fought for a long time.
Mhm.
It's because to that point when you said that, there's I think I talked about it on the last time I was on with you, so I won't have to dive too deep into it again. But my one of my business partners here and my friend Joey Clark, he um, dude, I mean, yeah, wrestled for the Marines, um, like going all around the world to wrestle the best dudes out there. He and his brother Jake used to train BJ Penn for his wrestling camps, back in the day,
Oh, geez, yeah.
and he just, I mean, super elite level, and dude, he is, I think he's maybe 46, 47 or something like that right now, but dude, he is the strongest person I've ever met. And you see him, you wouldn't think that wouldn't be your go-to thought of like, oh yeah, that dude feels like rebar. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
then just like for wrestling for decades and decades and decades, and like every once in a while we'll just go for a scrap and he'll just want to grapple. And this dude, he feels like a chimpanzee. Like it's like
Different
just
kind of strength, man.
corded steel, dude. I don't get it. And like same deal, just his hands, like the bone density. I'm like, dude, you'd sink like in the water. Like if you couldn't swim, like you would just stand at the bottom. Like zero boy. I don't get it, man. But yeah, it's different for sure.
It's different, man. And like a lot of those people, so there's one person, he actually fought on BKFC maybe like a couple weeks ago. Um uh let me see. So he used to be in the UFC. I was at BKFC. I see him there every once in a while, like training. And then one of the lead trainers at that gym, Damian Black, he's signed with BKFC. He's like, I
Mm,
think he's just over 40, but he's a heavyweight.
mm,
Boy can crack. He's a big boy and he moves really well. So it's
yeah,
like, so I will hold mitts for him sometimes just to kind of like keep him like sharp, and like
yeah,
he'll throw like weird, awkward like overhands and angle shots because in BKFC you could do whatever you want.
right,
Like
yeah.
instead of like a normal uppercut, you could throw like this, which will get through a guard. So it's gonna mess your wrist up.
Oh, bizarre. Yeah, you're gonna.
You just have to accept that you're probably gonna break your hands. But
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the paycheck is actually supposed to be pretty nice.
That's what it.
So,
That is what I've heard as well.
but I wonder, and this isn't a knock at BKFC, but like I wonder where they're getting all this money to dish out. Like I don't know if it's
Agreed.
sponsorships or if it's it's got to be partners or something. But I mean, as time's gone on, like I'm sure they're a pretty popular sport right now. So there's definitely money that's coming in, but you hear about like Mike Perry, who is, in my opinion, kind of the face of BKFC.
Dude, the best.
Um, like he's clearly making. I feel like I heard he's made like 1 million on his last fight, maybe.
Oh, dude, I hope so.
I would
He
hope so. I
definitely
mean,
deserves it, man.
well, it's like you're going into you're fighting bare knuckle. Your skull is you're getting closer to CTE than you ever have been before.
Yeah,
like,
dude, it's
I hope you guys are
yeah,
getting paid well. And you can have your own sponsorships on your trunks. So
which
I,
is which is dope, man. Like
which is pretty dope.
it's so great seeing um so many of those dudes and Mike Perry in particular, like being in the UFC so long, being around for so long, and being like it's like those fan favorites that they had amazing fights
Mhm.
and they were good fighters, but they just never quite caught the stride that they needed to, like in the UFC in
Yeah.
particular, I guess. But seeing how he translates over there is just it's so cool. And like even it's like Dana and like Hunter Campbell and everyone all just looking at it and being like, yeah, no, I don't get it, but like you're just perfect for
He's
this.
perfect for
Like
it.
you're just like this is what you were probably supposed to be doing the entire time, you know?
Yeah, he gets me hyped up too, listening to him just talk trash on the mic and then just
Yeah.
I mean, he just gets me hyped up and he's just a badass overall. He wanted to be on UFC 300.
Dude, I remember hearing about that where he was on his podcast and he like called Hunter and
Did he
had
call
the
him
con
did he call him on
uh
recording?
yeah, like he called him like when they were just on the show and he's just like, listen, man, you give me a bag of money, I'm gonna come over there and save the show. But it would have been so great. I mean, dude, I and that's dude, UFC 300. Um, it's like again, as we were talking about, again, not that there aren't good fights on it. There definitely is, like no question. But I just think it's like for the wow factor and it being the number 300, like
Well, what's interesting too is so view it this way. The first fight on the early prelims is Cody and Diego.
yes,
So I will be starting at was that 6 o'clock?
yeah, it's
Five
gonna,
o'clock?
dude. That fight's gonna be unbelievable.
And then you go and then headlining the prelims is Yuri and
Hmm.
is that Alexander Ratchik? I think it's Ratchik.
Dude, that's gonna be a gnarly fight for sure.
Gosh, and then Aljo, Calvin Cater, Holly Holm, Kayla Harrison,
Hmm.
the Diego Lopez guy with the hair. He's got like the Bieber. He's a Brazilian guy with the Bieber. And I think it says like
Oh
believe
yeah,
on his tattoo or something like that.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think who else is on the early prelims? You got Bobby Green, Jim Miller, Jessica
Hmm.
Andrade.
That'll be fun.
Every one of these people has been on like a main card pay-per-view.
Yes.
Like that's how stacked this is.
No. And it's 100% like there are tons of great fights on it. I guess it's more on like the novelty piece of
Hmm.
how they brought back, you know what I mean? Like it's some wild headliner or some feature fight where you know, just getting a little bit of a freak show, just something to mix it up, you know?
Yeah. No, I would agree. Like, and I know we talked about when main fight was announced. And no disrespect, but I feel like when it was first announced, I was like, I feel like this was your fallback. Like I
Yeah.
bet they were grasping at something big. If it that
Yeah.
like Khabib would probably wouldn't have worked because of Ramadan,
Hmm.
or if they were trying to do something with Nate and Connor, or you know, and then when it was announced, I'm like, oh, I mean that could be 301 or that's a good headlining
Yeah.
card, but I feel like if you
Yeah.
want that wow factor with the monumental 300, it
Yes.
should have been like a someone come back, Connor and Nate, or Connor and Chandler, or
Exactly.
um something. I just feel like there's just some type of wow factor that was needed.
Agreed. And that's the only I guess that's the only criticism or the beef with it is just that there's not that like again for that to be a head like because I didn't I remember how you were mentioning you kind of it's like so with Jamal Hill or maybe not as big of a fan like I to be honest I didn't really know who he was before like I had seen him fight maybe twice before the Glover fight like
Same.
I had only caught a couple of his fights but then the like the way he went to town on Glover, like that was crazy. And like I definitely like I'd say I became a fan of him that night where I was like, damn, like who is this dude? Like
Yeah.
this was wild, like the way that this fight went. And so yeah, like and that the storyline's there, because that those photos of Alex standing in the cage staring at him after Glover just looks like a
A
pile of ground
villain.
beef. Yeah, and it's just that look that Alex has given him. It's like, oh boy, like this is gonna happen eventually. So
It's so
yeah, like no,
comical seeing his face just like it's like you like to that point right there, like you can just pan the crowd, everyone's just cheering, and then you just see this stoic, just warrior ready to like have one yeah, one thing.
yeah, yeah,
Kill.
yeah,
Kill is the it's a kill switch. It's on right now.
yeah,
And I'm not dying. So
dude. And I love that he has I think it's like on his left hand he just has like a literal pile of rocks and stones like
yeah,
on
that's
his
right.
hand,
That's
where
right.
it's just like, dude, that's dedication to your craft right there.
Well, didn't he beat who did he just beat for the belt, the light heavyweight belt?
You
Is it
Yuri.
he just beat Erie? That's right.
Yeah,
That's why. Okay.
because
That's right.
it was the vacant because Jamal tore his Achilles
And vacated it.
and then vacated it, and then yeah, it was Alex and Yuri for for the vacant. And dude, I really wish it would have been if the main event had ended up being uh, Pereira and Tom Aspinall for the interim heavyweight.
That would have been kind of that
That
would have been sick.
that would have been incredible, dude. When I saw those rumors start circulating, I was like, oh god, please let this be true. Like, because that just that would have been sick. But you know, is what it is.
Is what it is. Yeah, that would have been I remember that was circulating. There was a bunch of things that were circulating. Like they were talking about Izzy coming back and fighting
Yeah.
is that Dracus Duplessis or whatever, which I would
Hmm.
not have been too excited for. Um I like as has gone on, I've respected Izzy, but there was just so many fights where I'm like kind of point fighting here and there, and then
Hmm.
he starched Pereira. Um, and then his fight against Sean was nuts too.
I
Um,
I just couldn't believe that. I felt like I was in like yeah, it was like a fever dream or I was like in the Matrix or something. I'm just like, what is going on right now? And I don't mean that in any discredit to Deshaun Strickland because dude is wild, but I just did not I did not see that coming. Like it was not any type of discrediting of Sean and his skills, but just seeing the way that Izzy was able to handle everyone,
yeah,
all different styles, like that he could just nullify people. So I really did not see it going that way. But
no, that was one of those fights where I didn't order it because I was just like, okay, Sean
I'm
is
good.
cool. Like Sean's, Sean is Sean, but like I just
Yeah.
see a clinic or him just getting starched. And it was a
Hmm.
complete opposite. Um, I mean, it was a clinic on the other way around,
It was
but
bizarre, man. Yeah.
it was bizarre. Sean is funny, man. Like
Yeah.
I follow him on X, Twitter, whatever,
Yeah.
and he says some of the most wild things that he does not care at all about cancel culture. Um,
Yeah.
he definitely exercises his freedom of speech
Yes, he
and
does.
freedom to carry a firearm, which I
Yeah.
respect that, man. I
A
respect
hundred
that.
percent, dude.
Um,
100%.
but what was
Yeah.
that video?
He
Wasn't
loves America, dude. I'm for it.
I'm for it. There was that video where was someone trying to break into his house or there was like an accident outside of his house and then the guy
Yeah.
was running to up to in between Sean's cars and Sean just turns a corner and just hey man.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like, dude, can you imagine of like being in that situation and all the houses that you ran up on and you have no idea, and then it's just him storming out. And I think he said he was just in underwear and a pair of boots, and that's it.
What a man. Work
Yeah,
boots.
dude, he is something else.
He's something else. I don't think he has a fight lined up. I thought they were looking
Yeah,
at something for him, but not yet.
I
I
would.
hope he's around for a while. He's really
Yeah,
been
man.
hitting the stride lately.
Hmm. And I think he like he deserves that. Obviously, where I saw him talking about it, where he's just like, man, like fight politics, all this stuff. Like, I don't care. He's like, I get it. I understand that's the game we're in, but like, you know, and that's the star power factor. He's like, Izzy gets starched by Pereira. They give him the rematch. I lose a incredibly close fight with uh Duplessis, and even Dana was saying he thought I won the fight. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I need to run that back with him. And it's like, dude, more power to that. Like, he definitely deserves another crack at it.
That was the first thing that popped up when I typed his name. It was pretty much what you said word for word. Is like, I don't care about fight politics or a belt, but it makes me laugh. They give Izzy a rematch to Alex after getting slept. I lost a close
Right.
decision that Dana himself thought I won. Everyone did. The stats did. They need to run it back. And then his
100.
next Twitter is something that would probably get me canceled. So I probably won't say it.
So you can just go up and anybody that wants to see it can just go up and look it by themselves.
If you want, yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. I might retweet it. But no, he's wild. I don't think he has a fight lined up. He's 33, so hopefully he gets something soon.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And then same for that. Like Connor doesn't have a fight lined up. I don't know if it feels like as time goes on, Dane there was an interview in some post-fight interview, and it was like Connor makes so much money right now that he want to fight. It's like, well, all your interviews before said he's coming back soon. So
Mhm.
you either are making it sound like he wants too much money to fight or you can't afford him, which
Right.
is you can afford him, like it's UFC. But I
It's
don't know.
Disney at the end of the day, which is wild.
Which is strange that Disney would promote
It is.
what this sport is, but
Yeah. It's bizarre.
that's Disney.
But bottom line, the money is there to get the man paid if need
The
be.
money's there. The money's
Yeah.
there. Like you should really
Yeah.
get paid. And I truly think he wants to fight. It's just
Mhm.
I don't know if it's Dana's just draining him out or something, but that wouldn't make sense.
Well, it was something about ESPN contract renegotiations coming up. And I don't know why. I don't know in what context that applies, but I think that they I mean, I guess this would make sense that it was something to the effect of they're trying to hold out in their renegotiations coming up with ESPN to say, hey, this new contract, guess what one of the first fights are going to be after we restructure this new deal? Like Conor McGregor coming back. So
Good
I think
point.
that's they're holding out for that. They're icing him for that reason, so that they have that ace in the hole for getting those numbers up.
That's a really good point because their first, I mean, not the best comparison, but their first fight for the ESPN deal was Henry versus TJ for champ status for TJ. Or no, for Henry maybe. No, because that 125.
Yeah.
That is interesting because you kind of want that poll, like, hey, this is the first fight on Fox or
Right.
ABC or
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder when that deal goes down because Connor's like 35, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah. Sounds about right.
I mean, he's got I don't know. I hope he fights Chandler and at least Diaz.
Yeah.
I hope I at least get to see those two.
100%. It's yeah.
I don't know, but that's probably all he has. I mean, you do have the argument of like he makes so much money right now, he doesn't want to fight, or he doesn't need to fight, but he wants to. It's like, well,
Uh-huh.
look, man, it's Conor freaking McGregor. Okay,
Right.
like give him at least one more fight. God dang.
No, of course. I mean, yeah, it would be a real bummer to not see to see him come back in general. And yeah, the prospect of him and Chandler fighting, like I I mean, there's just no way I don't see that fight going past 2 rounds.
No, and what sucks is Chandler's waiting so much. He's kind of in like he's a little later out of
Yeah.
his prime, but like, dude, you're wasting. You could pick up a fight right now. Go fight
Go fight the winner of Charles and Armand or something like that. Like, or
Yeah.
or fight BSD. There, fight Benoit. Like that. There's Benoit's fight back, and there's Chandler's fight back. Like, well, take that.
I mean, yeah, and I guess he's just like,
Holding on to that money fight.
yeah, and like on the, on the one hand too, it's like, yeah, dude, more power to. I guess it just comes down to a person's, uh, the motivation. It's like, well, what do you want out of this experience,
Hmm.
And if for him, it's like, but because I agree with you in the inactivity piece. It's like you would want to. I feel like you'd want to stay sharp. You'd want to stay in it. But his counter to that has always been like, dude, I'm staying healthy. I'm not taking damage. I'm just getting to train and continue to sharpen the tools, and I'm getting to spend more time with my family right now. And like him always just talking about, it's like brightest lights, biggest stages, biggest events, that it's like that, just that legacy piece for him.
Yeah.
So I think that that's more of the thing for him that really gets him going. And yeah, so
I mean, it all makes sense. Like I just hope it happens soon. International Fight Week would be
same, man.
pretty big deal.
Yeah,
I
and that
forgot.
timeline makes sense, I feel like, from where we are right now.
Because is that June or July? I think it's June.
Mhm.
I feel like it's sometime around then.
Yeah.
I forgot to say, I don't know if you saw this, but some fan came up with like their theory for the UFC 300 main event, and it says 300, the 0 fades out, and then like the 0 comes together with the other 3, so it's 30. Or no, sorry. The 0 split, and then there's a dash. So it says 30-0 with a question mark, and then Conor McGregor's laugh, hinting that it could be in Conor. And I was like, bro. And a bunch of the comments were like, the UFC needs to hire you right now. Because
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool.
Talk
Pretty
about
cool
marketing,
promo.
dude. Oh
Talk
my
about
god,
marketing.
dude. I'd jump out a window, dude, if I saw that
And
drop.
I would catch you. That's how excited I would be.
I love that. Thank you. I can't contain myself.
That'd
Good
be
thing you're
nuts.
around to keep me grounded.
It'd be nuts, man. I mean, I feel like when Conor comes back, I bet it's gonna be this year.
Yeah, it's got.
It's
It's
not
gotta
like
be.
Dana has said no to anything, but I think you can tell he's getting frustrated with probably negotiations, and he's getting annoyed with all the questions
Oh yeah,
from like every post fight interview. Hey,
dude.
so like, what's your talks been with
it.
Conor? It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's a dumb question. I don't make fights.
Yeah.
The stupidest one is where he says, "I don't make fights the same night as a fight," which is
Like
that's
yes,
a trash response. Yes, you've done.
yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
You
Yes, you do.
have, and that's fine. I get it. Fair enough. You're gonna say this, but that's a stupid question. You know how dumb that question is? Just when
Yeah.
he starts laying into people, and it's just like, all right, bro. All right, all right.
I think the only time he's happy is when Connor's fighting, John Jones is fighting, and then if anything negative happens to Francis. I think that's it. So it's like
Or Oscar De La Hoya.
he
Just
hates
where
Oscar.
he just gets to go off, dude.
hates
It's
Oscar.
it's
Hey,
so
cocaine
funny,
ain't cheap.
dude.
Cocaine ain't cheap.
He is like, he is hilarious though. Like
He is.
he is so funny, dude. Like when he goes off about something, it is just yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, Dana rants. They're great, man. I
Yeah.
love them. I do love them. Did you see? Hey, did you saw Jorge and Nate? Oh, two
Yeah.
for a boxing fight. You see how much it is?
No, I did not.
$80. Well, $50 if you buy early on. It's on like FanMio or some pay-per-view or something like that. I don't know what that is,
Yeah. Huh?
but I'll order it.
Yeah. No, I mean that's phenomenal that that's gonna happen. should be fun.
I think it's one of
Should
those things like nobody asked for it.
no,
Especially
but it's
outside of the
also like,
cage.
yeah, and that's that's the interesting thing that makes me wonder about how this will end up going, because obviously it's like, yeah, we're taking, you know, taking any grappling, any ground game, like just non-issue, just
Just
straight
hands.
hands, and both of them obviously have hands, so you know,
Unless it's like a setup for like Jorge to fight Jake Paul or something like that. Or the winner fights Jake Paul. Because that's Jake Paul's thing
right.
is fighting. I
Mhm.
honestly the last few fights I feel like I didn't even know Jake Paul was fighting. Like he fought that Golden
Yeah,
Gloves dude and then he fought somebody else and it's like nobody even knew this was happening.
no,
Whatever. Good for him.
no, yeah, no, and I mean, dude, if this Mike Tyson fight even happens,
Who would
uh,
sanction that?
I Puerto, dude, probably Puerto Rico.
Probably Puerto Rico.
They just have to take it down there.
I wonder if it's in Puerto Rico.
I don't
I,
remember seeing a. Was there? Yeah, I don't remember if there was a location
I
attached to it or
mean,
anything.
I know who would sanction it would be Saudi Arabia. You got that
Oh
Saudi
yeah,
money, they
oh
sanction
yeah,
everything.
yeah. They don't care.
Yeah, I don't even know if it has a location, but we'll see. I mean, yeah, Tyson is 60. Oh, he's 58.
Wow.
Yeah, he's 31 years old. 31 years older than Jake. Whatever. I'll just wait to watch it on Twitter, or I'll wait to the next day and see everything on Instagram. Like I won't. Oh no, it's on Netflix.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That they're. Yeah, I mean, good for them for getting getting into something different.
Arlington, Texas is where it is.
Hmm.
Don't believe it, but good for them. They can do their thing, I suppose. So what else, man? Besides music and moving and real estate and fights, how's life? What else is new?
Dude. Uh.
Nice.
No, it's just fun. I love that though. That's so funny. Like, you ask and then it's just like, kind of sit there like, yeah, dude. I mean, it's great, man. Like, I'm just very if anything, the pause was more just like gratitude and like reflecting on things of it's just like, yeah, I'm just happy to be doing what I'm doing. And yeah, man. It's
I
oh, I do.
actually
I do. Sorry, 1 second.
It's funny that you said that because I kind of similar. I've had this thought since and I kind of get this thought a little bit every time Dustin fights, but like this past fight, like I listened to his interview with Ariel Hawani. Didn't know I was gonna tear up, but that happens. And like it's a similar thing where I'm trying to be have more gratitude towards things. Like I don't love my
Mm,
job. Like I have to take a different like a view at it where it's like, hey, I could do this to, set up the life I really want, which would be on like the weekends where I'm working on my house, building a garden,
mm-hmm.
um, hanging out with friends, stuff like that.
For
And then
sure.
just kind of reflecting on what I have and just yeah, I was gonna write. I gotta find. I had like a prayer journal like years ago. I don't even know where it is,
Yeah.
but I could just use my phone. Um, but there's just that thought of like writing things down that just feels better.
Yeah.
Like just the actual like pencil to the paper. And
Agreed.
I kind of want to at least 30 minutes every morning, like no phone and just like kind of sit outside with coffee or sit on the couch and look outside with like coffee or tea or something. Just
Yeah.
kind of like just reflect. Maybe music, maybe not, but
Mm-hmm.
it's good for the mind and soul to just take a step back.
Dude, agreed.
Always.
Yeah. No, and to that point, it's been uh I've been really working to to get just morning routine dialed in.
Mhm.
In terms of, keeping the consistency of at least Monday through Friday, waking up uh, at the same time and getting up, getting to it. And first thing that I will get into is usually like right after getting up, it'll be like the U Bible. Like I'll hop into that right
Yep.
away and see whatever, the verse for the day is, or any featured passages, and just setting my intention and starting with that, and trying to dive into that immediately before anything else, and try to just have that be top of mind right away. I find that that really helps just go into the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I feel like just viewing things through that lens, and if that's the first thing that we're feeding our minds and feeding our souls, you know, first thing, I feel like it just is such a great way to start the day.
Plus, there's a way too, because like I do every time I wake up, as soon as I touch my phone, it's unless I'm shutting an alarm off, but as soon as I open up my phone, it's pretty much I'll read the verse of the day,
Yeah,
and throughout the day, I'll try to like remember what that verse is, so I can at least apply it to my day.
yeah,
Or before I go into my bartending shift, as I'm walking in, I've been doing this for years. Like when I walk into work, I'll just say like a quick little prayer. Um,
I love that.
but there's a thing of like saying it and then like practicing it or just reading it and absorbing it. So like
Yes,
if I just wake up and look at it, I'm like, all right, cool, and then I can like scroll. Like I feel like that's not doing anything for me.
right,
Because it starts to become like just a routine instead of like an actual like exercise or something that's like
for sure.
what it's intended to be.
Yeah,
And I've gone through like I've scrolled through like Bible plans and anything like that, which a lot of them are good. Um, like plans about your life, like, oh, I want to read something that'll kind of help me with this, with that, with
hmm,
that. I haven't done it in a while. Like my schedule, obviously having a 2-month-old, my schedule's a little funky right now.
for sure, man.
But no, like that's something that I really want to apply this year is just more just applying scripture to my life and stuff like that.
Mm,
Because I just get frustrated with a lot of um in my opinion, we don't have to get too much on this topic right now, but my opinion is
sure.
um the people who scare people away from Christianity are Christians, in my opinion.
Mm,
Or
mm,
like the quote unquote Christians, you know. And I
yeah,
think like a good pop culture example would be like Kat Von D.
mm,
Obviously her past is what her past is or was.
yeah,
And she was baptized like I don't know how many months ago. And then
yeah.
it was like comments and stuff like that, which if you want to read comments, cool. If not, I don't think people should. I don't think people in a higher up should. Um,
Yeah.
but it's like she was just getting like hate and judgmental from like Christians. And like I think I even like wrote, speaking of reading comments, I posted a
Mhm.
comment on one of those videos. I was like, hey, welcome to Christianity, or welcome to being a Jesus follower is what I said. I was
Mm,
like, where you're gonna get judged more from the people in the church than anybody
yeah,
else. And
yeah.
I don't know, like sometimes I try not to like let those people bother me. A lot of times they do, because
Hmm.
it's like I don't want to be associated with that person. Um, but yeah, definitely working on just blocking out the noise, I think is a big thing for me,
Mm,
especially this year.
yeah. No, that's that's awesome. That's awesome to hear, man. I definitely agree with you in that sense too, where there's uh there's unfortunately a lot of hypocrisy, and people that are they're so ready and willing to point out uh shortcomings of others, and not a lot of exercise of grace on things. you know it's this desire of people feeling righteous and they want to point the finger and they want to say all these things, but they're not. It seems like a majority of those people that are the first to, who, like, if you're without sin, cast the first stone type thing, right? Like,
Right.
it's those people who generally tend to be, okay, well, where are you at in assessment of your own life? And what are you implementing daily? And how much of this do you actually live out as opposed to just, you know, being on a soapbox yelling at other people? Like, are you realistic with yourself and assessing, like, geez, yeah, maybe I'm not so great in these areas. Maybe I am way too hard on other people in these areas. And, it just, it tends to be a lot of that. And
Yeah.
I think if people were willing to be as harsh with themselves as they're willing to be with other people or towards other people, society could definitely be in a better spot. Like, if you're willing to be as angry as you are with other people, it's like, have you maybe looked in the mirror at who you're actually angry at?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
that and this is propelling you to project this onto other people, that, like, maybe some things are not sitting right with yourself.
Yeah.
But
That's beautifully said, man. I would agree with that. And then of course there's the people who like mix it in with like the political side with it too. I'm like, please don't do
mhm.
that. Like, please don't like
Yeah.
I just don't um I mean it's weird. Like if you say one thing about where you are religion wise or spiritually, like you're already casted politically. I'm like, those shouldn't be hand in hand. Like
Yeah.
at all. But of course that's what you see on media. And to be honest, I get my news from like Twitter and Instagram where I see certain
Yeah.
things. And I think you and I follow some of the same accounts because I see you like
I w-
some of the things I do. I
I
I,
was
I won't
just
say
about
what
to.
those accounts are. I'm not gonna say what those accounts are, but
Yes. Yes.
but
No,
it's
that's so funny you say that, because I noticed that as well.
we see things on there and it's like even reading some of those comments, I'm like, what are we doing here? I feel like there's just so much hate everywhere
Yeah.
and hypocrisy, like you said. But no, you said it well, where it's like, who are you really angry at? And
Yeah.
until you finally face the facts and say, hey, you're mad at yourself, like don't spread that to other people. Like you can't be mad at somebody for being mad at other people when you are the one that's doing that. Like
Right.
you are, I mean, that's a hypocrite, plain and simple.
Yeah. No, 100%. I just, um, it's like Jocko Willink, extreme ownership. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like he's huge on it. David Goggins is huge on it. Um, a
I want to
lot of.
read both of their books actually. I have
Yeah.
Can't Hurt Me. I haven't read it yet. And then
Hmm.
what is Jocko's book called? Ownership?
I
He has
believe
I think there's some
yeah.
book out there.
Hmm.
But sorry,
Uh,
continue.
well, yeah, no, you got me thinking on a couple. Like, also Cam Haynes, Endure.
You read that book?
I haven't yet, but
Okay. Do you have
I'm definitely.
Spotify Premium?
Oh yeah, that I get
Okay.
just the audiobook on there. It's
So
beautiful.
that's how I did it. I mean, I'm
Nice.
counting that as a book read,
No,
even though
for
it's
sure,
not.
dude. Audiobooks are great. I'm same deal. I love them.
Yeah, I listened to that, I guess you could say last fall, maybe. And I'm
Nice.
gonna re-listen to it. I loved that book, man. That was one of the first ones that like I
Sweet.
just couldn't, I guess, shut off. It's an audiobook instead of put down. Couldn't put it down.
Yeah,
It was good.
I love that. I'm currently reading right now. Craig Rochelle. He's a pastor, and this
Ooh.
book, "Winning the War in Your Mind." Um, it's phenomenal, man. I'm like, I think I'm maybe like 7 or 8 chapters in right now, but he it's basically about how it goes into the neural pathways in our brains and how the habits and the ruts that we create by continuing repeated behaviors, and how so much of the reason that we continue to think the same things is because we have just been used to it, and then it just continues to happen out of habit. And the more that we do that, the deeper that rut gets, and then the harder it is to change the thinking and to be able to um, just attempt to apply ourselves in different ways. And that's generally why it's like thinking a new thought, trying something new for the first time feels so awkward and it's so strange, is
Yeah.
because there's a literal pathway in your brain that has been formed over just repeated behaviors and repeated decisions. And he applies it like he uses a lot of scripture and biblical context to make illustrations around that. So it's, yeah, man, it's really awesome. I love it. And yeah, he has a way of putting a lot of things into perspective that make me think about, I'm just like, oh right, what, that's why I feel this way, or that's why I've been thinking like this. It's like, well, duh, because you're on like a default setting with a lot of things, you don't
Yeah.
even realize that you're thinking about certain things the way that you're thinking about them, but it's just out of habit.
I'm looking up the book now. I'm probably gonna add that to my another like personal goal is I just want to read more
Same,
and
man.
sound
Same.
smart and be smart.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like, like I'm married to somebody who has a master's degree, and
Oh, wow.
the which nothing to take away. She's really smart, but it's one of those things where like if I ever feel smarter than her, I'm just like
Like,
2
yeah.
years of community college. What?
Yeah, that's right.
And I
Yeah.
didn't finish. What?
Yeah. I got this.
Um,
Yeah.
no, I just want to read more and then learn to apply things to my life and stuff like that. But that book
100%.
sounds good. I'm just gonna add it to my list here.
Yeah, man.
And then I
Yeah.
did look at the Jocko book was called Extreme Ownership, and then
Mhm.
Discipline Equals Freedom.
Yes.
The other book, which I agree with that quote so damn much, man.
100%, dude. And I think I guess I resonate with more like extreme delivery of things, I guess. Like
Mhm.
I do also enjoy if someone's maybe like a little more uh you know, I mean, it's like Jordan Peterson, for example. Like he is definitely not like um screaming at the top of his lungs or in your face or something like that. Like he's definitely a bit more eloquent with the way that he speaks, and like bit of a, more of an intellectual delivery, but like
Right.
he'll definitely lay things out in a way where I'm like, oh, this is very interesting, like I didn't think about it that way, or I didn't view it that way. And sometimes, or admittedly, it can be difficult to follow him when he's like really taking it into, you know, different places. But like that delivery can be cool too, just in his example. But I feel like a lot of the things that I'll resonate with or that really stick with me are when they've been delivered in a pretty extreme way, that it's a bit more of an imprint on my brain, or just like
Right.
in my soul, where I'm like, oh right, I suck, like I need to be better, and if it wasn't just shaking me to my core, I maybe wouldn't have received it the same.
I
So
was just gonna ask you what helps you, or like what are some things that you notice like that applies to you, or like what helps you like absorb it? But you pretty much just answered that. So
yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, sometimes I get intimidated. Like I remember reading this one book. Oh, it's a Christian book like years ago, and I was like, dude, these words are so big, and I didn't understand it. So like I'm spending more time understanding that word than just like
Yeah.
reading everything.
Mm.
And I'm like that still with other dude, I'm like that with TV shows and movies. And I mean it's probably my ADHD, but it's also like I have to, not lately. I've been a little bit better lately. And sometimes with music, Like I would struggle with like this song sounds, it just rips, or like the way the
Mhm.
vocals are, and this is so good, instead of me like listening to the story that's being told. Um
Mhm.
and it's artist based. Like I know we talked before, like I listen to Corbin all the time. So like I at least can like understand what he's trying to say, or like the pain in his voice. But then sometimes I'll
Mhm.
go and listen to, like I have to listen to, they're another favorite band of mine. You mentioned, referenced them earlier, like Silent Planet. They
Mm.
rip. They're one of my favorite bands. But there's sometimes where Garrett's telling a story that like I have no idea I know what he's saying. I know what the
Yeah.
lyrics are, but like I don't understand
Yeah. What are you talking about?
what are you talking about. But I have
Yeah.
to like research, and once I research it, I'm like, okay, that's
Hmm.
pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Man, okay, I'm gonna have to read that book now that you said that. I'll add that
Dude,
in
right on.
here. We should encourage each other to read more, or encourage each other in just
Yeah.
like being just better like men. I think a lot of guys need to do that, honestly.
Uh,
I feel like men don't really talk about their feelings too often, and um
dude.
kind of like breaks a threshold, but it's like, dude, being open and being, you know, accountable to each
Mhm.
other is always key. And like I'll message, I have a group text with um my buddy Justin, and then Austin and Gabe. And like I'll text them every once in a while outside of the group. Just be like,
Mhm.
hey man, like how are you? Because our group text literally consists of like memes,
Yeah.
reels,
Yeah.
TikToks, some Spotify songs, but it's like
Right.
we should check in on each other more often every once in a while, you know?
Dude, I agree entirely. And the word that you hit on that I love so much is accountability, man. Like that to me is, I honestly feel like in this last year, like it's come in different phases, but I would definitely say that in this last year, I've really started to grasp and I guess like really love it because it it can be like, again, if you're having to look yourself in the mirror, like it can suck, you know, it can be uncomfortable at times to like really be honest with yourself and just think like, man, like, am I doing what I should be doing? Am I where I truly want to be? Like, am I capable of more? Oh, you know you're capable of more? Sick. Why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
You know? And then it's one thing with yourself, but then being held accountable by other people who truly at the end of the day, like those who can maybe be the hardest on you or have the moments of real candor, and it can be, you know, really uncomfortable if you're not willing to accept it. But like if you're willing to accept it and you can lean into it, and you know, like if you're in a situation where you have something that needs to be said to you and you have someone or people in your life that are willing to say those things to you, like dude, that is, I feel like that's one of the biggest gifts in the world.
Yeah.
Like to just be able to face that and sit with it and be okay with it, and just, yeah, look at yourself and go, yeah, wow, like we're capable of more. We're capable of being better. So let's commit to that, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's something like to your point about, it's like applying scripture to your life more, reading more. Um, I Yeah, I guess it's like I do and I don't in terms of age, like, you know, 33 going on 34, and it's like I don't trip on it too terribly, but at the same time really realizing it's like, yeah, it's a finite amount of time that we have, especially in these younger years or more prime years where it's like, dude, I really do want to become that best version of myself that I
Yeah.
can be. And um you know, identifying those areas where it's like, well, dang, we need to change some things up then. Like we really do need to get better if you want to reach that, and at least to look back when you're older and go, yeah, man, I tried. Like I really went for it. Like as opposed to like, dang, I kind of let myself off the hook on that, or I kind of coasted in this area. And like, what would it have been like if I really, really tried?
It's a strength to be able to ask yourself, like, am I doing to ask yourself in like a positive way, not a negative way, where it's just like, am I doing the best I can right now? Or
Yeah.
like, or even saying to yourself, like, hey man, like we could do better here, or we can do that.
Yes.
And sometimes, I mean, I'm hard on myself a lot. Uh
Hmm.
and it's just it's like I don't know. Sometimes I am, and then like I look back and like I don't know why I felt like that. I'm totally fine. You know what I mean? Like I'll just go back and forth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like there's been times where I've even thought of like therapy and whatnot, and um I don't I don't think there's anything bad with therapy. Like I've
Mm.
been promoting it like lately to like my friends and stuff, but like I've never done it, and I've thought of doing it. I really wrestled with it after my dad passed away like 2.5 years ago.
Mm.
Um because it's just like it's a big thing where, you know, if your family member passes away, you're kind of
Yeah.
in a situation where like, all right, what does this mean for me now? Or like how do I handle this moving forward? Or like what do I do on his birthdays? And
Right.
which I actually have I have a routine on his birthdays. I do everything that he liked, and then I end it with like a glass of 14-year Old Bond scotch because that was his favorite scotch. So
Oh,
like I'll listen to like Bob Dylan and Eric Clapton and Chicago and Frank Zappa because those were all of his favorite musics, or for those were that was his favorite music and like his favorite bands and stuff.
yeah.
And then I'll eat like a dish he always liked, and then I'll just have like a glass of that scotch. I'm like, boom, there, that's what I do. But it is one of those things where like I need to like be able to check on myself more because there's times where I'm just not like I know I'm not like in a good spot, or I'm not like there where I want to be.
Yeah.
Um, but circling back to what you said, like it's good to be able to ask yourself and to say like, hey man, you could be doing better.
Yeah.
Like just reach out to somebody, like text your best buddy or something like that. And
Mhm.
that's what I mean. Where I think guys just need to like speak up more, and be open with their conversations. I'm open with my wife. Don't get me wrong. Like I know she's gonna listen to this part. She's like, hey, I'm right here. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's one thing to just like reach out to your boys and check
Yeah.
in every once in a while, and holding yourself accountable, saying like, hey, we could be doing better is a huge thing
Yeah.
as well.
No, 100%. I think, yeah, it's a whole can of worms that could be opened.
Yeah,
But
I know that was a lot. Sorry, but
no, 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 not from
that
you at
is
all.
something
I'm
that could be like a totally different conversation. Like
no, and
so,
that's to that
yeah.
point. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, that could be that's a whole episode in itself. But no, I meant I was truly speaking to myself and my rambling ass when I get on a topic and could just go and go forever. So, but no, I agree, man. I think it's super important, and like you're saying, just today and the way I feel like things are going, just like society and the world and whatnot, and just yeah, man. For I mean, all people, right? But I obviously we're just talking about you know men in this instance that um yeah to just self-assess, hold ourselves accountable, hold the people close to us accountable, um and yeah, back to the gratitude piece, dude. Just like it's a scientific finding that gratitude and anxiety can exist at the same time in our minds. Like those are just two things that and some sweet bro science I'm hitting us with here. you know, because obviously what do I got? Publishings and a journal in front of me.
Yeah.
However, there for anybody who wants to press me on this, you can look that up. That those are two emotions that cannot be simultaneously held at the same time. Through whatever methods of testing that quote unquote they have found. But yeah, it's just an important piece that it's like, right, if you're thinking about the things that you are grateful for, and you're thinking about the things that you are happy that you have in your life, as opposed to, you know, scarcity or lack, or what does somebody else have going on that I don't, or this isn't fair, that's not, you know, like, just if you're living in that space, it's just like, yeah, nothing good ever comes from that. So
No,
But-
it's good to reach out, man. It's always good to reach out.
But-
Well, hey, man, we're at the 2 hour mark.
unreal.
Went by pretty quick, right?
It truly did.
So let's just do some plugs real quick. You got a show on the 22nd,
Yes.
Minneapolis in the Green Room. Tickets
indeed.
are probably, I'm sure there's a link on your Instagram.
Yes. Yeah, we've
tickets.
I believe we've got one on the Absent Handed at Absent Handed MN. Should be link in there for tickets.
And then what else? Okay, and then you have your real estate hustle. That is, what's that called?
Yeah,
Or what's the Instagram page for that? Sorry.
yeah, Exceeding Expectations RE is the team page on Instagram, and then Lou dot Hamel HAMEL, that is my personal page, and also all the happenings real estate related going on there.
Heck yeah. Are you still working out?
Dude, I have been. I have not been documenting it as I was for that time in Montana, getting in those rhythms. But yeah, man, been consistent with the gym. Like, I mean, usually there by, you know, six or so at the latest in the mornings. And yeah, it's been great, man. But I've definitely that's another piece of this year of the list of things of where I'm like, man, I need to get this, because that's one of those areas, right, where I'm like, dude, if I had been more dialed in with the nutrition over multiple years, like, results would definitely be different, you know.
Yeah.
And you can't out train the diet as much as I'd love to believe it, and I've been living it, trying to do it, and it just is what it is, you know. So but yeah, good things ahead.
Good, man. That's exciting. Well, I appreciate you. Appreciate you being open and taking time out of your evening to be on here.
Dude, of course, thank you so
Super
much.
stoked for you guys with all your music and shows, and it's just awesome to see. So
Thank you, man.
thank you, man. As Theo says, it, be good to yourself. And I'll try to make sure I remind myself to do the same, and everybody else out there too. So
100%.
awesome. All right, man. We'll be in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yep.